YouTube. And hi, everyone. We are back with our very own Kerry Kaleba, and we are going to ask you some questions. Are you mentally prepared for your interview?
Absolutely not. Let's do it.
All right. Um, Absolutely not. Okay, so first off, thank you to our intrepid and wonderful Folkwise interview sleuths for really throwing together a gem of an interview. I've rarely am I so excited to read questions to a guest, but here we go. Here we go, Kerry. I'm going to ask you just a few innocuous questions put together by people, by people who talk to you every week. So, my first question, and this kind of this kind of is a overarching question into your life, Kerry, but it's um just like the Big Bang, we still have uh cosmic background microwave energy that started during the Big Bang in our galaxy. Kerry, what parts of your identity as a folklorist are actually theater kid background energy?
100%.
What parts in particular?
All. I mean, what isn't? Like, this is the thing. Is like folklore right now as a discipline, as a field. Like, really, if we go to any of the conferences or really dig into it, like folklore as it stands right now as a field is just frustrated theater kid energy. Like, the number of us who are just frustrated theater kids who just took a weird left turn one night and were like, yeah, folklore.
I mean, I'm dressed like
That's
this.
even more employable than the theater.
What's a big way you see this manifested?
I mean, like,
Like,
okay,
how
look,
does it?
so what was in my application essay from my weird left
Yes.
turn one night?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was storytelling. Was this
Mm.
whole big fun concept of like, I like stories, I like storytelling or whatever, which is like what you're supposed to say in some capacity, because that's a huge part of folklore studies is about storytelling and story collection. Whether you get into foodways or anything else, there's a story at the core of it, which is something
Yeah.
you can really make hit in the same way. Like, I do theater because I'm here to sell stories and to tell the stories of people who aren't always heard and stuff. And I took 4 years of theory and stuff, and I have not yet developed the critical capacity to understand how much of that philosophical and theoretical underpinning is patently false and wrong and broken. But if I go to grad school, I'll figure that out.
Hey, powerful question.
But I mean, like, we're all frustrated theater kids, and we all just don't want to admit it until one night we're sitting around and we're like, yeah, I also did theater in high school, or I have friends who do theater, and I'm sort of absorbing all of that weird, terrifying energy that is very different from band kid energy,
Yes. Oh, very much.
and is not chorus kid energy, but is the weird performing arts kids, but also the weird tech kids. And now I'm a folklorist.
Uh, all right. Interview over. Great question, Kerry. That's everything you need to know about Kerry, but I'm going to keep going with some more questions. So you mentioned, everything comes down to storytelling, whether you're talking about the material culture, foodways, etc. You're always telling a story. So, uh, with that in mind, what is your favorite form of material culture to participate in? And also, what's your favorite form of material culture to think about as a folklorist?
Yeah.
Man.
Like, I know, okay, like, we're heading down the path of my obsession with textiles, which has gone for my entire
It
life.
could be your obsession
And
with cookies, you tell me.
they could also be my obsession with cookies, which gets into the food waste things as well. but I will spend a lot of time talking about the materials of making cookies as well.
Yeah.
But I also do a lot of pottery.
Mm.
I think it's hobbies in general, like the making of things in terms of material culture
Mm.
across the board. That's the thing. I'm interested in the process. Like I rarely wear all of the things that I knit. I rarely use the bowls that I throw. I don't eat a whole lot of the cookies that I make because I'm so much more interested in the process of making things than I am the actual finished product.
Two of those
Like,
masks behind me were made by you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do these things all the time. Like I
She's
will
not
process and
lying.
then I will give it away. I don't want to keep the stuff. I'm not interested in I'm interested in the materials of material culture. I'm interested in the making of material culture, and I do not care about the end product very much. And I think that's also what I think about a lot is like where did the pieces come from? What is the processing?
Mm-hmm.
How did we get this thing in front of us to work with? And then I no longer care about it. Like as soon as it's done, I'm like, yep, great. It goes in a box. I don't care. Does anybody need a bowl? Because I don't need them.
Me, I'll take one of your very special bowls. So
There's my bowl.
special! They're so special!
That is.
You made it!
It
Yeah,
is.
who
It
cares?
is.
I'll smash it.
That is a really good. A really good answer, but a very true to form answer as a folklorist. That like you found a way to answer process and process.
I just don't care. It's process. It's always process.
No, but to say you don't care is, I mean, is being funny because you.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
spent half the weekend discussing the entirety of the fashion industry and how the merits of wool versus cotton and how it fits into the whole spectrum of really the global textile industry. And then I bought more yarn.
Deathlora says meta process, answer process, and process. Yeah, that's like very much Kerry thinking with her folklore brain is the only way you come up with that answer. So proud of you. Can we talk a little bit about, if not the process and material culture, can we talk a little bit about your job with DC Arts?
We can talk about a little bit of that.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Kerry, what's the most unique and memorable grant you ever managed at DC Arts?
Oh, I don't know how to answer that one. Like all of them are good and they're all wonderful and everybody's great.
But
That's also the least. Carry hot take Kaleba over here. I can't imagine that is true.
no, let me circle back and say, if not like I'm not talking about the best, what's like one that stands out?
Like even that, like they're all so interesting because it's such a like when you really dig into the art scene of any city,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're talking about DC or I don't know, Poughkeepsie or Santa Fe or anything, is that there's a tourist level of experiencing a place
Uh-huh.
where it's very superficial and like it's what goes on the brochures and it's what goes into the hashtags. And then you really dig into a place and you're like, oh no, there's a lot of cool, weird stuff waiting to be found. And you have to be embedded in it to be like, yeah, that's here too? Okay. Okay, that was not what I was expecting this to go to, but here we are. And it's a really fun and interesting thing to experience of just like to sit there and say, "Oh, you do that? Since when? Since always? Since okay. Cool, cool, cool." And every single thing is like that. Every single project that comes through is just like, "Oh, cool, cool, cool. Yeah. That's something else that's fun. That's fun and interesting." And I want to see more. I want to see more of everything.
Would you say more projects than you expect? end up being that sort of phenomenon you're describing of like the, oh, that's here too, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, because I mean, this really is like, if you go anywhere and you experience anything. I think a lot of times we engage with stuff initially from a tourist perspective
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, cool, that's you guys do this. This is your local food. This is your local music. This is your whatever. And then you spend longer than 45 minutes in the information booth or the one restaurant you were told to go to, and as soon as you talk to someone else who says, "Yeah, cool, you could have that, or you could go to this other restaurant, you could check out this park, you could start to experience more of a location, of a genre, of anything, and you start to really embrace the possibilities of what's within uh any any realm you want to experience. Uh like once you get into any art form, any community, any
Mm-hmm.
place, any location. I mean, going back to that question that I answered, like, hey, yeah, 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 I'm totally into storytelling because that's what you think folklore's gonna be. And then you get there, like, oh, I can do food, I can do music, I can do whatever I want, and no one will stop me. Uh,
In fact,
which
people
is
will
a
give you
really
money
very good
for it.
thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes people give you money for it, and you can keep doing the things you think are cool, and no one will stop you until you start actively doing harm. But as long as you don't do that, and you continue to stay cool about stuff, it's a really rewarding and wonderful thing to just see and experience so much.
So can I try to summarize what you're saying?
You sure can.
Okay.
Good luck.
Tell me. Well, not the whole thing, but tell me if this is a part of what you're saying. It To me, it sounds like what you're saying. A part of your job is to kind of like curate an emic perspective on Washington D.C. to give people like the not tourist experience to like facilitate like promote things that lead to a more robust insider knowledge of the city.
I think it's less of the curation and more of the facilitation.
Oh, okay, good distinction.
Um, which is because that's what I really dig is facilitating.
Hmm.
And creating the opportunities and the spaces for people to do cool stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge part of just life is making sure that there's whatever metaphor you want to use. Is there enough room at the table? Are there enough stages?
Are we
Are
moving the
there
needle?
are we gonna move the needle? Are we gonna, and it's every buzzword that you want to read from the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But really what it is how do you make the world more open to that experience?
Mm.
Because it's very easy for all of us to get siloed into something and to not experience or encounter whole swaths of the world and the people and the places and the things and the foods and the cultures within it. And the internet is at once this great expansive opportunity to experience and to connect and to see things, and also very easy to let the algorithm curate your life for you.
Mm.
And I would, part of what I really like is facilitating ways to break the algorithm in our lives, to not keep going to the same places, to not get stuck going over and over to the same place, always ordering the same meal at the restaurant, always ending up at the same bar at the end of the night after the show, always going to the same places with the same people, because then you just get stuck in a rhythm, and rhythms are good. Rhythms are good, and rhythms become rituals, and there's a lot of value in ending up at Denny's after a show. But there's also a lot of value in saying, "You want to go see a fire dance?" And what happens if we just do that?
Um. Yeah, the new guy neighbor in chat hit you with the Choose your own adventure. You have chosen wisely. But, Kerry, I thought that was a beautiful answer. Hey, well played, friend. I think you knocked it out of the park with that. Daisy, I feel like this is the time where I ask you if you have a follow up to that because I can like hear the gears in your head spinning.
Oh man, I don't know. I just like part of me is like the thing that's cool about folklore is that it's like both the celebration of the ritual thing that you do and like the intimacy that you experience with friends and like the sharing, but it's also like the really fucking cool, very specific niche shit that you can to like participate with and hang out with. And like, I don't know, it's like it's hard for me not to just be like enthusiastic about it all. I think that's what Carrie does. Carrie just loves it all. I think you're a really good representation of like a folklorist who's really into all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You do it all.
I'm,
It's
I'm,
fun.
I'm with you on that.
I'm also with Death Florist. If anybody ever gets a chance to go on an adventure with Carrie, you should always say yes.
Oh, I brought this up on stream. That's how we ended up at the Silent Hill Fire Ballet and then
Yeah,
went to the Will
you just
Ferrell
gotta
bar.
say yeah. Exactly.
That Will Ferrell bar was great.
That Will Ferrell bar was so like in the moment it was surreal. Yeah.
It really was.
Very good.
Like,
Yes.
I need everybody to understand the Will Ferrell bar was not called the Will Ferrell
It was
bar.
called
It was
Mythology.
called Mythology.
Yeah, which is why we went.
And then we walked in, and there is a wall-sized mural of Will Ferrell in Anchorman.
Yeah, there's that. There's like a like Andy Warhol esque paintings of like Frank the Tank in old school of like the cowbell guy from SNL. It was a Will Ferrell bar. Yeah, because we didn't go to the same place.
And right before that, we were at a video game bar.
That's true. I played some Street Fighter 2.
That was really fun. I bet that bar's really closed now.
Dang.
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 The lesson is if I ever say, you want to go do something? I saw this thing and it seemed interesting. That will not be where your night ends.
And also, I hope we can all live up to that example. Carrie, my next question, kind of harkens back to your roots in public folklore. What experiences from your days at the Smithsonian Folklife Festival have influenced you on your path to the arts administration side of folklore?
So here's a fun fact about the that left turn I took into folklore.
Uh-huh.
Because we're gonna have to go back before Folklife Festival.
Hit it. Let's go.
So I wasn't supposed to apply to a folklore program that night.
Yeah. Oh.
I was in the
Oh.
I was in the middle of my application to an arts management program.
Okay.
And then I took a very sharp left turn into folklore. So
Okay.
How do you make that
Fest-
as you have the application open on your computer?
I don't know that I remember how that night went down,
just-
but it did end with like a weird long 2-hour walk around campus and then deciding I was going to get a master's degree in mythology. Which that's how I was reading folklore.
Same.
Like, oh.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. That one professor told me there wasn't a master's degree in mythology. I'm going to show him.
Look at us.
And
Who'd have thought?
Yeah. Who'd have thought?
Not me.
Who'd have thought? Look at us now. No. So the Folklife Festival was kind of a route back to arts management and the kind of production side of things, what arts management is, what any management is going into that facilitation thing. It's going more into the facilitation of things and the production side than it is the actual creative side of things. You're not generating the content, you are making the spaces for that content to flourish. And so the festival, in any capacity, from my time there as an intern and then later as a crew member for a year, was about creating those spaces and creating the opportunities for artists and practitioners and the people who do the hard thinky thoughts to thrive. and to have a space for encounter and to have all of the good things that the festival promises and delivers on, of just a space to talk to someone, to create with someone, to collaborate, to learn something new about the world, to smell delicious food, to watch wild things happen, and to just, yeah, just kind of be in a different part of the world for a very small time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's, yeah, it just always goes back to creating the space. I don't necessarily want to be the person generating or curating a whole thing. Happy to help. Also very happy to do all of the thinking around that and the building the structure and the scaffolding where you can hang a program.
I feel like a lot of the things that like stand out as Carrie highlights to you involve spaces. Am I on to something?
Yeah, but now I don't want to think about it because that means I have to get all reflective and
Oh, please.
yeah, we're
No,
gonna talk
just
about
write about it
spaces,
later.
aren't we?
Just write about a book.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
put it in your book later. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it on my live journal.
I think people would read your thoughts about space in class.
I would read your live journal. Oh my god.
Also that. Are you telling me, Carrie? Are you telling me it's fun? It's time to get into the fun questions.
We can get into the fun questions.
So you wrote your
Good
master's
one.
thesis about golem tourism, correct?
I sure did.
So can you pitch how you would write a golem into Monster Prom?
Oh my god, this question.
Okay, so you have to pick which one of the golems you're gonna use.
Oh, tell me the distinction.
Well, okay, so the Golem of Prague,
Mm-hmm.
the core legend that I was working with, is really a buddy act
Yeah.
in some ways because you've got Rabbi Love and you've got the Golem, and so you've had to have two. You would have to have the two of them, um,
Yeah.
really as a partnership.
Yeah.
But there's also what happens to the Golem afterwards. So the kind of the OG Golem, the first story
Mm-hmm.
about the rabbi and the golem is the golem is built as a protector creature that is going to really patrol the Jewish quarters of Prague, is going to make sure that the community is safe, is going to be there to ensure that nothing bad happens until cool bro Emperor Rudolph II decides that he's going to be a cool bro and ensure the safety of the Jewish community within Prague.
Mm-hmm.
All historical fact, though. All of the people in the Golem stories are real, except for the Golem itself.
Well, and at that point,
Um,
who can say?
well, who can say? Because he's allegedly in the oldest synagogue in Prague, because there's a door on the outside that has no access points inside. Um, but then the stories about the golem get a little interesting. So there's a play. There was a play in the late 1800s, early 1900s, where the golem is constructed specifically to study the Torah and the with the rabbi, and the rabbi's granddaughter immediately sees the golem, is like, yes, this one, I'm going to date him. We are going to be dating. We are going to be in a relationship. I like it. I'm going to kiss him now.
Now that sounds like Monster Prom.
Yes. And that is 3 acts, and it all ends with the golem just sitting in the river, like, what happened to my life? I was built for a singular purpose, but then a girl kissed me, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Aww.
And it's so beautiful, and I love it very much. There's the Gustav Meyrink novel about the golem, which is just like if you want Kafka but make it weirder, go read that.
Wow.
And just the kind of fun existential crisis stuff that just kind of hit in that early part of the 20th century when nobody knows what to do with themselves, but they're sure into spiritualism.
Yeah.
That one's great. But then what happens after that in the 1920s, and it's not explicitly stated, but we all kind of know what's going down, is the golem turns into a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because the usage of the word robot to refer to a automaton comes from Carol Chapek and Rossum's Universal Robots, his
Yes.
1921 play. Um, he's Czech. Chapek is Czech.
Mm-hmm.
He's living in Prague at the time when all of these other golem stories are popping up.
Yeah.
And you cannot tell me that somebody embedded in that culture who has grown up in Prague and has grown up around this story and has all these other things bubbling up around didn't say, yeah, what if we did golems, but they were people?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, what if the last act of that was about them dating? uh, and trying to figure out, because the last act of that play is, hey, we accidentally eradicated humanity, and therefore eradicated the only way to build more robots. We have one human and a bunch of robots, and so we're gonna figure out how to reproduce.
Mm.
And the best way to do that is if we, you know, uh, what's autopsy? Just cut everybody open till you find the parts that work
Oh,
together.
okay. Okay. That, yeah, efficient machine thinking.
Yeah, super good theory. Except for then there's the boy robot and the girl robot, and they're like, "What if we kiss?" And they're like, "Wait, is this how reproduction happens?" And then you're just, "Yeah, kids, you might be okay. You just reinvented humanity, but okay, interesting. Good work, kiddos. This play won't be weird at all." It's like there's so many. Oh, I think you got like the weird, you know, two golems that are dating, you got the buddy comedy, you got the I'm having an existential crisis because I was purpose built for one thing and then somebody kissed me and now I'm sitting in the river wondering what I've done with my life. Which is 3 days. As it turns out, I've only had 3 days to figure that out and I don't like any part of this. Please let me go back to being a puddle of mud.
Oh my
So
god.
I'm hearing there's no reason a golem isn't in Monster Prom because of how rich the source material is.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Frankenstein's monster is technically a golem.
Oh, sure.
So there's already
Gentile
one in
golem.
there.
Yeah. Oh no, Frankenstein. That might be a Jewish name. Um, what would your Monster Prom golem's like punny name be?
It's Rocky.
Oh, great.
Barnes Rocky.
Love it.
Of course. Of course. Oh my god.
Because then when you get
Fired point
into
blank.
like the way golems appear in things like Dungeons and Dragons and all the other role playing games, it's always a rock golem.
Yeah.
You can build a golem out of anything, but they default to rocks
Yeah,
and being
sure.
earth based.
Just like Adam.
Right.
Um, Carrie, in 2013 for your Phi Kappa Phi Love of Learning Award, you said that your dream career was to curate an open air or living history museum. With this in mind, could you please give us your pitch for a living history museum of the 930 Club in the 80s?
Right. So Dave Grohl is paying for all of this. I need
Okay,
everybody to understand that
good.
Dave Grohl has to underwrite this whole project.
A nice
Oh my
Warren,
god.
Ohio boy.
Dave Grohl spent his high school years in Northern Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
He's technically a local boy for me too.
Hey.
Yeah, Dave Grohl's he's a Nova boy.
Daisy Q claimed to be
Okay.
Pacific Northwest, so you can claim him too in his adult years.
I was gonna say I think I don't know if I actually can. Someone will get mad, but I 3 years? Is 3 years there count? Maybe?
Only 3 years because you finished your undergrad so dang fast. But
Yeah.
Dave Grohl is bankrolling this, Carrie.
Dave Grohl has to bankroll this. This is a necessary thing for me. All right, so the 930 Club, decades old institution in
Mm-hmm.
Washington, D.C., has an international reputation. They are physically building a replica of the 930 Club
And
next door to the
what
current
does the 930
location.
Club do?
It is a music club.
It's not
And
like the Hellfire Club or something.
no, it is absolutely a live music venue. And it is an international icon It always ends up on lists. Like if there's ever one of those Time Out magazine things where it's like, hey, are you a cool hipster who wants to go to music clubs? You should go to these top 10. And 930 Club is always on the list. Uh, but they're building a replica of the original location next door to the current location. And the first thing is the thing that I never experienced, which they're going to have to recreate the smell, which is apparently
Oh my
truly foul.
god.
Wow.
But I know this can
Oh.
happen. I know this can happen because one time I was in York and I went to the Jorvik Viking Center. And if you go on the weird little ride, there's a section where they recreate the smells of a Viking trash pit. And that was a weird experience, but I need this to happen for 930 Club, the
Yeah,
Heritage Site.
that's good.
Yeah, so we're gonna recreate the venue, and then I think it's gonna have to be very events based, like one event a month of just recreating the surprise shows that define 930 Club's history.
Hmm.
Like y- like, every time Foo Fighters showed up, or Dylan shows up, or the Violent Femmes show up, just any band showing up, and just like the first night Chuck Brown plays and all of that, like all of these really good nights of things just happening there. Um, and most importantly, it has to be staffed by college freshmen and sophomores who have no idea what they're talking about.
Awesome.
Oh
I
my
need
god.
this to be children who do not understand or who think that this stuff is old ancient history, because that's the most entertaining thing in the world. I just needed a college freshman to try and explain Bob Dylan to me.
Yeah.
Is this why you hang out with me?
Yes,
Oh my
it
god.
is very funny.
This explains
Oh,
Shirley.
no.
It
Yeah,
is
this explains
very
me
funny
and
to watch.
Shirley.
Oh my god, I love it.
I need every single weird night that I have experienced there to be recreated.
I know. I've told the story definitely to Folkwise. I don't know if I've seen it on stream. It's one of, or I said it on streams. It's one of those like fun coincidences of history, I guess. But the last concert I saw was at the 930 Club. You know, who knows? I haven't been to a concert since the pandemic started, but 2 weeks before I was at the 930 Club, and yeah, rare to go back.
Caitlin and I are going in January.
Hell yeah, who are you seeing?
We're seeing the Wombats.
The Wombats.
Nice.
Oh, I haven't thought about the Wombats in forever. It's in
Yeah.
Is that where 100 Gex is playing in DC? Should try to see Gex.
I think so.
Yeah.
They're
It
there
fits
at
with their
9:30. They
aura.
might be at Anthem. Yeah.
I'd go
Yeah.
see
There's
Gex.
Yeah, they're
Oh my
they're at
god.
9:30.
There Gex are
They're at
100 Gex are
9:30.
100 Gex are at 9:30. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I think they're playing soon.
I think they
should
have
be,
two
like,
shows.
on their
I think they're doubling back. I think they're playing a show in
Yeah.
like
Oh, it's
October and a
possible.
show around Christmas. Yeah. Anyway, this is
Yeah,
your monthly plug for 100 Gex on this show.
it's fun. It's so I mean, you can do so much with that trip. The other nice thing is that you are walking distance from Ben's Chili Bowl.
Yeah, oh hell yes.
So you go get your half smoke,
Oh. Now you're
then you
speaking
go
my
to the show.
language.
See, it's a whole thing. It's a whole experience. And then you get your 930 cupcake.
So,
Relative.
Carrie, can I move on to one of your other favorite topics?
Yes.
All right. Which movie that airs on Turner Classic Movies should no longer be considered a classic movie? What do we need to decanonize from
This is
from the
oh my
C and
god.
TCM?
This is such a question.
Okay, so my gut instinct, the really true, it's in my head immediately, do not want to even think about it.
Hot take.
Robert Redford, Great Gatsby.
Oh.
Okay.
Interesting.
He's so wrong for the role. Like everybody else in the movie is great. except for Gatsby. There's something about the way that Robert Redford says old sport that drives me crazy. And he's so miscast as Gatsby.
Mm-hmm.
And we know this because he's so good in everything else. You can
Yeah.
put him in Out of Africa and it's fine. You put him in Butch Cassidy and it's fine. You can have a river runs through it. Yes, absolutely. You are in any way, shape, or form connected to Brad Pitt. Fine.
The Sting?
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just please team up with Paul Newman all day, every day in the afterlife. When that happens,
When that happens,
bless,
you're doing
beautiful.
buddy comedies in the afterlife.
It's also, I don't like Great Gatsby as a story. It is one of those American canon novels that I hate
Mm.
because it's just not, nobody's fun. Nobody's interesting. Nick's okay, but only because Nick spends the whole time being in absolute denial of his own homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, yeah.
But it's also, it's Peter Pan.
Yeah,
Fundamentally, the story is Peter Pan.
Peter Pan with like gross rich people.
Like, it's
Yeah.
Peter Pan. He's the boy who never grew up because he's still obsessed with Daisy. He's going after Daisy because he's
Yeah.
treating her like Wendy. The green light at the end of the dock is absolutely Disney Tinkerbell.
Oh yeah,
Damn
hey.
true. Damn true.
Wow, you're really
Visualization.
Damn.
expanding my cinematic borders here. My
Oh my
literary
God.
borders.
Like,
You
it's
thought about this
so-
before?
Is this
Yeah,
really
this
a
is
hot
actually-
take? Is this coming off the
This
top?
Damn.
This is from when I was 17.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
I
Okay.
Damn.
fundamentally have been building up this resentment about The Great Gatsby for most of my life. I just don't, of all the novels about America that are defined for America, it is my least favorite.
Sure. I can get down with that.
I don't like books where everyone is dumb and then somebody dies for a stupid reason. And I'm supposed to sit here with the most obvious symbolism of eyeglasses overseeing all. Like, there's no subtext here. Zelda was a better writer. Just, who cares? And I also don't like Leonardo DiCaprio in the role.
Well, I wasn't even gonna go there.
But I'm gonna.
I feel
I'm
like that's
gonna.
like one of those movies where like it's like universally like memed. It's in like a bunch of reaction gifs, but people don't actually like it.
No, nobody likes it.
Yeah,
It's
nobody liked that movie. Why is it?
It's a-
Why?
Well,
It's an
thank
eminently-
you.
Whoa,
Definitely.
Forest.
filmable. It is an eminently filmable story. It is self-contained. It is doable in 2 hours. It's a lot of beautiful people. It's a lot of beautiful visuals. But none of them are good people.
Yeah.
And you're stuck in a fantasy world. And there's just nothing about it that's, I don't know, nothing gets resolved satisfactorily. And I know that's the whole point. That's the whole point of America, right? Nothing gets resolved satisfactorily and then we have a depression. But it's just Robert Redford's so wrong for the part. And I know, it was the 70s. He was beautiful. He was blonde. He was made of gold. And it's great in everything else. I'm on board with everything else. The way we were, phenomenal.
The
The
Way
Sting,
We Was.
phenomenal. Everything was great. He's so perfect. But I cannot get past the way that the words old sport sound so wrong in his mouth.
I love that it's something so arbitrary that feels so right to hear you say it.
Just, it's so,
Yeah.
and there's something wrong with it, really. It's not a movie that requires a disclaimer the way that Gone with the Wind does, where you have to like, no, we really need to talk about how when we say it was a different time, this is what we mean by a different time.
Oh my god.
And all of the old South fantasy of that. And
Yeah.
it's not like any of the silent movies or anything else. It's just such a, he can't say old sport. It sounds wrong. It sounds like an affectation of an affectation.
Aw.
It's not even, that's the whole point, is that Gatsby is this fantasy created out of bits and pieces.
Sure.
And somehow it all works, but it's just not believable.
We've abstracted it even too far at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get on board with pink shirts and the giant house and any of the other markers of class or culture or society that he tries to traffic and take on. But Robert Redford cannot sell me on old sport. And he says it over and over again, and it doesn't work.
I'm so proud of your like very specific answer. By the way, it's time for another episode of Folkwise Live Reacts. So, number one
Extremely
question, I guess, is
necessary.
are you part Italian? But the real question is, on July 21st, 2013, you were photographed with an entire shopping cart of pasta. What was all that pasta for?
What was it
What year
for?
was this?
2013,
2013.
No, what time of year?
July. And I think you were with Sarah and
So
Brittany.
many pasta.
Okay, yeah. So I just lost my mind in a grocery store because there was a cart full of pasta.
And it's yours now. This cart full.
Yeah,
of
I
pasta.
was. Some noodle in there must have blown my mind.
Oh my god.
Did you buy any of this pasta?
Probably.
Carrie,
I
is
have
it?
very little self-control in a grocery store.
Oh my
that's
god.
that's the Delalo too. That's the good shit. I like that stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Carrie, is it about the pasta?
It is always about the pasta.
Oh, interesting. That's perhaps the hottest take you're gonna get tonight, chat. So now that I already have the screen, shared. Oh yeah, post that GIF. I'm proud of that one. Now that I already have the screen shared, Carrie, I think it's about time to transition into your game. But first, Daisy, do you have any questions from chat?
I sure do.
Oh,
Give me a second for it to load.
go for
So
it.
one thing we didn't specifically touch on, maybe I'm gonna ask these not in the order that they were asked because I think it makes slightly more sense.
Yeah.
But New Guy Neighbor wants to know what your folklore specialization is, like how you would define your specialization in folklore, if you have one.
Technically, my specialization at the time that I wrote my thesis was on legends and tourism and cultural heritage tourism and the ways that we interact with it and getting into legends and how they fit into that. So it was kind of a network of experiential stuff. The continuing work that I've done has been all about material culture and specifically in textiles and handcrafts.
Perfect, because the follow to this is as you mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
Can you give the can the guest you
Can guess.
I'll read this verbatim. Can guests give brief history / thoughts of textile industry and where it is today? I'm not very familiar.
I love the way
Basic-
New Guy Neighbor asks questions like a reporter.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's very good.
If you so really the big thing in the textile and the fashion world right now, the hot trend in a lot of ways and has been for a while, or one of them is fast fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Fast fashion is the overproduction of very cheaply made and produced garments that are ready to wear, RTW. So this is your ability to walk into a Target
RTW.
and get a t-shirt for $2 because it's there and it's very disposable. Things fall apart very easily. And what you do not think about as much is the fact that the production of a lot of textiles is very high cost environmentally. It has a pretty high and pretty intensive labors and material cost. It takes an enormous amount of water to process cotton. A lot of our ready to wear garments are produced in sweatshops. That's been an issue for a very long time, and we've all known that for a very long time, for several hundred years, really since industrialization happened. Um, and the conditions are appalling, and nobody really wants to fix them because it means raising prices, and then you can't get that $4 t-shirt at Walmart. So there's a shift in thinking. There's a lot that gets into kind of the how we produce things, how we waste things, it's very easy for us to toss away clothing when it gets damaged rather than mend and make do, that whole World War II thing. Very few of us have any connection to how clothing is actually made. We don't necessarily know how to sew a button back onto a shirt, but we also don't know how to make that shirt in the first place. And we don't know how to choose the fabrics or how to judge things. We rely on something else to tell us how, but we also don't have a good sense of keeping things and making them last and investing in things that last. It's the you need to have a good suit thing, but you have to invest in a good suit. Shoes that don't fall apart. Building not just capsule wardrobes for a fashion purpose and a style purpose, but because you want to have a couple of pieces that will last forever. And then there's also the shift to leisure. The production of our own clothing or anything is a leisure activity. I knit. That is my hobby. It is a leisure activity. I make my own clothes. That is a leisure activity that I have a lot of privilege to be able to do.
Ladders in the chat for new guy. I think that was a great question that spawned a great answer.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you, new guy.
Thank
That's
you.
what I got for you from the public.
All right. Is it time to get into your game?
We can get into the game. Did you actually want to know if I was Italian or not?
Aren't you part Italian?
Are you
No.
Italian?
Okay. You're a cousin. You're an honorary cousin in my heart. It's all the pasta.
I can't believe what I'm looking at right now in Discord.
All right, everyone. So it's time to get into your game. And Kerry, you're one of our interview sleuths. And meeting with the sleuths today, we were trying to pitch some heat. We didn't want to just we wanted to surprise you. We didn't want to just do a tier list and have you bring things straight to D. We really wanted to think outside the box. And as Daisy alluded to earlier, there's nothing Kerry likes more than a needlessly hot take.
Holy shit.
It's going to take a second, but it's going to be worth it. All right. So, everyone, welcome to America's favorite game, and that is Kerry's Contrarian Hot Take Corner. Kerry, this is how this game is going to work.
Oh my god.
You're going to receive a prompt, and you're going to have to briefly explain what this thing is before you give an unnecessarily inflammatory opinion about said prompt. Do you think you can do this? Do you think you can manage?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's get into.
I love that there's an official rules document.
Yes. I had to make sure people knew what was going on here. Oh, yes. Okay. First off. Okay, your first hot take. David Byrne.
David Byrne. David Byrne is, as I'm sure everyone knows, a Scottish-born American singer-songwriter, former lead of the Talking Heads, now solo artist, soon to be appearing on Broadway, actually currently appearing on Broadway. American Utopia just reopened, in a show that is about his music, as he defines it, even though most of the songs are from his time with the Talking Heads.
No!
Oh my god.
That was your brief explanation.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Oh my god.
David no, Dom already knows what this is. Dom already knows the hot take on
Chat
David Byrne.
Chat doesn't.
David Byrne is Lord Byron for TikTok. So for those who don't know, TikTok, some kids on TikTok seem to think that David Byrne is their artistic hero because he is absolutely neurodivergent, potentially a creative genius. The suit here is a great choice. I mean, look, you want to show a poorly fitted suit and call it a look? You know what? The Muppets are going to make their own music video and it's going to be phenomenal. And then David Byrne Kermit is going to also become an icon, which is going to be weird for everyone. But really, the thing is, he's a jerk. He screwed over the rest of his bandmates with the Talking Heads on multiple occasions. He's not really the best of collaborators to work with. Brian Eno's not the best human being to work with at the best of times. Creative output aside. And if anybody would like to join me in listening to the one podcast that Dom recommended that I listen to almost every episode of, You Talking Heads to My Talking Head, is a really great deep dive into this by people who should not be doing deep dives.
Oh my god.
But here's
Damn.
the thing is, like, he should not be your icon, kiddos. He should not be your, like, bisexual something icon, whatever the kids say on the TikTok, because you end up doing the same thing that the entire nation of Greece did to Lord Byron, who was a scumbag at
Yeah.
the best of times, and then decided at some
Oh my
point
God.
after, his buddy is dead, his children are abandoned, and he's given up on whatever else he's doing, that the best thing for him to do is to go to Greece and join the independence fight. And have some very good portraits done. Honestly, very good, top notch, beautiful. I love them. But then die and be lauded the whole time as a national hero. Like, no, you picked the wrong dude. What are you doing? Critical thought, my children. Critical thought.
So I feel like this started with you saying you don't like David Byrne because he's like Lord Byron, and then you have some like unresolved opinions about Lord Byron you had to get out there. But I appreciate that.
I looked
I had a
at
Lord
the-
Byron t-shirt in high school.
Oh hell
Oh
yeah!
my god.
I
looked at-
absolutely wore a t-shirt with Lord Byron's Greek portrait on it.
Oh fire!
Oh my god. Wow.
Carrie, number 2, we've got Weezer.
Oh.
God, they've gotten old, haven't they?
Yep.
Okay, let's just be clear. Weezer is the reason for one of the single greatest SNL sketches of all time.
I hoped you'd say that.
Comedy.
Your favorite
God.
SNL sketch.
Like, truly, the Weezer SNL sketch is absolutely peak absurdism and just truly committed performances from absolutely everyone on that set. Like, there is no greater performance by Matt Damon ever, and Matt Damon in that sketch embodies everything that is right and wrong with Weezer,
Mm-hmm.
which was that it was very good at one point and was very, very valuable at one point, and we kind of loved a lot of things, especially around the Green Album era. And then you turned into middle-aged Matt Damon.
Oh my
And you
god.
started crafting
That's
dinner
right.
parties with sad opinions about your past and clinging to bands that were aging with you that didn't know when they might want to quit or stop or look back on any part of their lives and careers and think about what they're doing. And really, that's what Matt Damon did, isn't it? He never really stopped to
Oh
look
my
back.
god.
Anyway, I saw Weezer a couple years ago. It was really great. It was right after they dropped the Teal album, so it was the one with all the covers. Really
Oh my
good show.
God.
This is
actually.
this is the second time you
Pixies
started.
opened. That was really good.
Oh, that does sound like a good lineup. This is the second time you started talking about one person and then like related it to another guy you're mad at. Okay, let's see if you can keep the streak alive. Keep the streak alive, and that is number 3: podcasting as a career.
Oh my god.
It's not a real job. I mean, it is clearly you get paid. You can get paid, but let's look at
But-
Joe Rogan, who has gone from hosting Fear Factor to podcasting. Like, I want to know what genie he made a wish with,
Honestly.
Dave Chappelle.
because he must have, because it's just the career trajectory there of being the host of a very strange little giant reality show to podcasting. And to be so big, like, Carson Daly wishes he managed this.
He
And Carson
wishes.
has a show, and it's just, ah.
Wow, that's crazy. Daisy, can you pull that up? Okay, number 4 is The Hexer, aka the 2002 Polish version of The Witcher.
I need to see this because I think I'm going to love it more than I have ever loved anything in this life for about 20 minutes.
I hope so.
I just love that it exists. I love that Poland tried. Because you know what was going to happen was that Netflix was going to go enact cultural colonialism and make a better version.
Yeah.
Mostly because they had more money and a Henry Cavill.
God, we can't go off on a tangent about how hot Henry Cavill is, but
Oh my
We
God.
really can't.
but
Also,
it'll be too long. Okay.
sometimes I think about Henry Cavill in The Tudors and just
Ah,
good for
Mr.
him,
Charles
he won.
Brandon.
Oh my God.
Like, he won that. Like, Natalie Dormer also won, but Henry
Yeah,
Cavill
but
won
also, yeah.
of the victories of that show. Well done, you.
Well, this was an unrelated person you're happy about. Cool. Number 5, Kerry, we've got Casino Royale, 1967.
This is one of the greatest movies ever made, and everybody needs to see it.
Oh my God.
Damn!
This is
Wow,
hands
coming out
down
the
one of the
gate.
greatest movies ever made. Okay, so here's part of why I love this so much, was there was a time when Daniel Craig was getting cast as Bond. And sidebar, because they're about to start the casting again. If anybody tells me that Idris Elba should be the next Bond, you are wrong. Idris Elba was in the casting running with Daniel Craig.
That's
If
right.
Daniel Craig is too old for the role, Idris Elba is also too old for the role. He's also got a perfectly fine career on his own. Just let the man go DJ. He's very good at it.
Yeah, the Driz.
And
Yes.
there are a lot of other people who would be very good Bonds. Dev Patel comes to mind.
Oh
A lot of other
yeah.
people.
Dev Patel would kick
incredible.
ass.
Be so good. That being said, one of the things that was going around at the time of the Daniel Craig casting was this hot take version of Bond, where they were going to say, "Oh, what if we found out that like James Bond was actually the entire inherited personality? You didn't just become 007, you became James Bond, and
Yeah.
there were a series of Bonds going back to the original Bond, and there's a villain who's the original Bond, and he's played by Sean Connery." And I read that post and I said, "You have 2 movies in front of you right now. One is Casino Royale from 1967. The other is the 1999 Avengers, based on the Avengers TV show, with Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman and Sean Connery as the villain,
Yeah.
specifically Sean Connery as a former Avenger villain." So, what y'all told me is that none of you were watching enough movies as children. Because these movies exist just in 2 forms. You've got the Sean Connery villainy role, but you've also got the Casino Royale inherited title of James Bond. This is a brilliant movie. Okay? Every part of it is hitting at every cylinder. David Niven is a star. I love him. You can put him in anything. I want to watch it. I love him so much. Ursula Andress, great. Yes, absolutely put her in this. Orson Welles, a star. A star. Woody Allen, forgivable.
Who?
Forgivable in this role.
Sorry, you
Woody
like you
Allen.
staticked out. You staticked out. I can't hear what name you're saying.
Woody Allen, forgivable.
All right, next one.
Oh my God.
No, we're not
Before
done.
you
We're
say
not
things you
done.
can't take back.
Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. What a phenomenal soundtrack. The Burt Bacharach songs, iconic.
Yeah,
Just,
which
I
is
love this entire movie.
my main entrance into this movie, because that's something they like lifted right into Austin Powers, which is
It is.
the movie I watched all the time as a young boy.
This is the pre-Austin Powers.
Yeah, it really
It
is.
It is such a well done parody. And it's so good and it's so weird. And every so often I just think about David Niven picking up that giant rock in the weird Scottish game sequence. Just so incredible.
Damn.
Next up,
Everyone should watch this.
we've
my
got
God.
Hocus Pocus, because it's the spooky time of year
Holy shit.
starting soon.
It is the spooky time movie, and I never latched onto this the way that so many other people my age did.
I didn't either. I don't
It
like it.
just it exists. I think it is more valuable in its absolute repetition than it is as its own entity.
Yes.
It's fine.
Okay.
I like Bette Midler.
Yeah, I like movies that have an important reputation, though. That's important to recognize. Number 7, because it's holiday night, Vanderpump Rules.
Vanderpump Rules is phenomenal. Especially because it's now season 9, and none of these people should still be on this show. Because in theory they should have all gotten different jobs instead of graduating into being podcasters and lifestyle influencers, and none of them are good at it. Let's be clear, none of them are good at the things that they do.
Hell yeah. That's the dream.
Just Like so many disasters of humans. It's good.
I'm gonna quote my favorite TikTok meme and say, "What the dog doing?" Number 8 is Hugh Jackman.
This man deserves so much better than he's doing to himself.
Oh my god.
This man lucked into a career. He is not supposed to be Wolverine.
Yeah.
He was
third choice.
Absolutely. He was not supposed to be Wolverine. He also very much lucked into the fact that Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart decided they were going to carry the X-Men franchise on their sweet, sweet Shakespearean backs.
Oh my god.
That the two of them, not besties at the time, decided to give all of their commitment and force into those roles and to make this really not very even series into an absolute smash and to give him the opportunity to become a star. Like, Hugh Jackman was absolutely on track to just being the handsome Australian guy you got into a weird rom-com. He did a couple of them. He was fine. He was a handsome Australian man.
And then
Like this transition to musical theater, very good, very good. Yes, go back to your roots, my boy. You were Gaston, and you own it in a way that is exquisite. But you are picking the wrong projects. Boy from Oz, great. I love that soundtrack. Very good. Greatest Showman is a terrible story. It is absolutely sugarcoating a monster of a human being. I just think he should have done Sweeney Todd. I think that he should have given a full farewell to the Wolverine claws by doing the entire My Friends song. Like, I wanted
my
that.
God.
I wanted that. The
That'd be pretty good.
symbolism of it, the absolute symbolism of him putting down the claws in that song, just, oh, can you imagine? Can you see it? It's so much better than the Johnny Depp version. In your head, it's already a better movie.
Yeah, it is.
If you just replaced him in that, first we replaced Tim Burton as a director. So that's step 1. Step 2 is we put Hugh Jackman in the role of Sweeney Todd. This is an exquisite transition because the man is built to play a villain.
Yes.
He is built to be an exquisite and wonderful villain, and he needs that. And Sweeney Todd would have gotten him very close.
Yeah.
Would have gotten him better into it because now he's kind of stuck in this very awful con man thing, and I don't want him to be a con man. Greatest Showman is a con man. Music Man is a con man. It's not where he belongs. He belongs in true villainy. Just an absolutely great villain role belongs to him, and I don't think it's been written yet. I just need him to know that. He's so much better than his material. And nobody wanted another Music Man. Nobody needs it.
I got one last one for you, and it's kind of the finisher, Virginia.
Parts of this Commonwealth are beautiful and wonderful, and parts of it are terrible. And it doesn't get the credit that it deserves. Everything happened in Virginia. We ended the Revolutionary War. We started and finished the Civil War. I know Fort Sumter wants to claim credit, but the first real battles were in Virginia.
Sure.
We had 7 presidents. Nobody else did that.
How many has Ohio got?
Everything. Not enough. We have 7.
Jamie, can you pull that up?
Let's see.
Also, we have oysters and mountains.
That is very interesting. I mean, Maryland's got that too, but just because Maryland's a very long boy. Virginia's also a very big boy. Yeah.
We're a big boy, but we've got more big boy in us.
And Death Loris is promoting the Shenandoah Valley as best part of VA, FYI.
The Shenandoah Valley is pretty phenomenal. The mountains are great. The whole spirit of the Blue Ridge is a beautiful place to be. It's also, like, we got some good beaches, too.
Yeah.
And we did everything. Everything happened here. We did it all. We've been here the whole time. We were here first. I mean, it's not really something any of us should brag about, but we were kind of first.
Too many.
Successfully first. Florida doesn't count.
There's no number.
Everybody, Kerry, you knocked it out of the park with your artisanal fuego tacos. And, normally I ask the guest, do you have anything to plug? Is it Folkwise merch? What are you plugging?
Yeah, support the Patreon, buy our merch.
Yeah, Patreon.
Yeah.
And
We
with
got
that,
good stuff.
yeah, I thought it was a fun interview. Everybody, chat thinks it was a fun interview. Everybody,
Yeah.
drop some ladders, drop some.
Yeah.
Oh, what else?
some
What emote do
GGs.
you want? What emote do you want? You want some GGs if you don't got emotes? You got ladders. What do you want of the
I have a
emotes?
custom emote. That's right.
Yeah,
No, let's do more ladders and chats.
ladders in chat, people. HOF interview. Thank you, everybody in chat. Thank you, Kerry, and yeah, you'll be around. You'll hop on an episode soon.
I got more hot takes to deliver.
That's very true. It'll be. Oh, that ladder's on fire now. That's Kerry.
I sent flaming ladders.
Flaming ladder is Kerry.
Flaming ladders, everybody.
Quilts have had a meaning on many levels. Making quilts helped me to get a sense of my own space, sense of finding my way, sense of really working my way out of the labyrinth.